Spooky Tuesday.
Okay, what if for the opening quote we sing Wild Horses?
Wild horses, good and drag me away. Wild horses.
Like, what if we did that? I think that's
That's
really
it.
fun.
There's
Are
your
you
quote.
playing music?
We just did it.
Set up professional audio. It's like
We
this
just did
is
that.
We are professionals.
We just did that. There you go. You have the audio. Pull it.
Hey guys, welcome back to Spooky Tuesday, a weekly podcast where we're breaking down all of our favorite slashers, thrillers, monster movies, and black comedies on the new scariest day of the week. I'm Sydney Thompson.
I'm Monica Height.
And I'm Chelsea Duff. And this week we're talking about Fear, the 1996 movie starring baby Reese Witherspoon, Mark Wahlberg, Gil Grissom from CSI, and Alyssa Milano, even, who I totally forgot was in this movie. And what a surprise to see her. But it is this like very 90s movie. I had seen it
So
before. You guys
90s.
hadn't. What did you think? Like, give me some
This
first
is-
impressions.
The most 90s movie. I mean,
Ah,
it's set
I
in
love-
Seattle. It's like the music, they like sneak out of school to go to a coffee shop.
And the coffee shop has pool tables. I love that.
Yeah, it's like half coffee shop, half dive bar. Very like Buffy the Vampire Slayer vibes. You know what I mean?
Oh, spot on. Totally agree. I didn't think about that until you said that, but you're on the money with that. And it was just so good. I saw it yesterday and I like had such a fucking blast with this movie. Yes, there are flaws. Of course there are flaws. Everything has flaws. But this movie was I was screaming at at my computer, like at the top of my lungs throughout the entire movie. Also, I already started taking style notes from Reese Witherspoon and wore the same socks that she wears in the movie all day yesterday because she's a style icon. Like, thanks for recommending this one, Chelsea. I fucking never would have found this otherwise.
This movie, I think, out of all the ones that we've watched recently, like actually, I think scared me the most.
It's too real.
Yeah. It's scary.
Ugh.
Oh God. And it's just so terrible because like, Marky Mark from the Get, he's like a little too intense, you know what I mean? But he's like so sexy. And I was like, I'd fucking fall for it too. Fucking like 16-year-old Monica would have been like, wow, a cool older guy who's so beautiful and has swoopy hair. Like, what the fuck are you gonna what was
They
she
made
supposed to
him
do?
really look like one of the 90s pretty boys. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But if you haven't seen the movie, here's the IMDb summary, and I'm just going to read it straight. It's when Nicole met David, handsome, charming, affectionate, he was everything. It seemed perfect, but soon she sees that David has a darker side, and his adoration turns to obsession, their dream into a nightmare, and her love into fear. The title of the movie. And I think that's kind of maybe a little heavy-handed in terms of a description before you see the movie. I also went back and I
Yeah.
watched the trailer after I rewatched it just to see like how much the trailer gave away or prepared you. And I think actually the trailer does a really interesting job of combining little shots from different parts of the movie to give you the impression that like something else is happening to some degree, just so it's like it tells you like the themes, you know what I mean? It like
Yeah.
warns you what to be prepared for, but it's not giving away scenes. Like it's very much combining different things so that you can't fully put the pieces together in a really interesting way.
I love a
But
good trailer.
this movie slaps, if you ask me. I didn't remember that it slapped this hard. It does.
And I think that synopsis slaps too. It brings the drama, and that's what I look for in a synopsis. Okay. Very ominous.
One of the things that I found like really interesting about this
Mhm.
movie is so this came out in 96, but it was filmed in 94.
Mhm.
And Boogie Nights Mark Wahlberg's like other like
Oh,
kind of big movie came out in 97. And the fact like he seems so like I know like there's years because of when this came out, but it's just like he seems so baby in this movie compared to Boogie Nights. And I think I read somewhere that like this movie kind of solidified him as like a 90s like sex symbol instead of Boogie Nights. Like Fear first, like right? Did it. Fear came out first, but like that, like when they were both out like within like a year of each other, like it was Fear that like people were like, oh my God, he was so hot in this movie and blah, 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 blah.
Unfortunately, that is true, but it's also not true in many, many ways. I just, I looked up how old everyone was when they filmed this movie because I was so interested. And I don't know exactly when they filmed it in 1994, but Reese Witherspoon turned 18 in like March 1994. Mark Wahlberg turned 23 in June 94, and Alyssa Milano didn't turn 22 until like December 94. So probably after they finished filming. So like 18, 23, and 21 for the main like characters. But Mark Wahlberg was like, this I feel like was one of his first really serious roles. Like when he auditioned, per IMDb at least, when he auditioned, the studios was originally like, he's not a big enough star, like he can audition for one of the goons, you know what I mean? Like he can play one of David's friends, but he can't play David. And so he took that audition, and then the director James Foley was just like, but he's the guy, so like I'm not doing this movie if he's not the guy. Wow. And that's how he got the role, because he's he sure is perfect for it in like the absolute worst way, in the sense that like, I don't know who Mark Wahlberg is now as an adult, but he sure had a laundry list of violent crimes on his record, and some of them like racist hate attacks. So, I can really see how he would be able to channel whatever anger and turmoil he had in his own private life into this role. And that said, while, you can have all of the separate the art from the artist conversations, and I think those are important, I also think like this movie slaps, and I think a lot of young girls should watch it because it's a good lesson in what to avoid.
Just because someone is hot with swoopy hair doesn't mean they don't have a dark sordid past and they won't take a ballpoint pen and scratch your name into their chest.
And also just like don't find that hot, because like sometimes you could be like, ooh, hot boy with issues, unresolved childhood trauma, yes please, but just like, please baby, no, like men that go to therapy are so much sexier.
Fixer uppers, like this ain't HGTV, like let's avoid it. But okay, so when you guys were talking about the age of everyone in the cast, I was trying to figure out how far away from Marky Mark was Mark Wahlberg at this time. And then I found out that Marky Mark is, yes, that was his name, but
and the Funky Bunch.
And Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch. And he was just rolling out of being Marky Mark because they were active from 91 to 93. So he was Marky Mark, and then he was immediately David right afterwards. It's just the natural progression of things,
Sure.
In the 90s. Sure.
That feels right to me, like deep in my soul, like that feels right.
The Funky Bunch.
My dad's name is Mark, so I always call him Marky Mark, and like I am the Funky Bunch,
I love that.
That feels right for you. I do feel like you are a Funky Bunch.
Thank you. Just me alone, a Funky Bunch.
This movie starting out, was anybody else like really, really, really confused about the family dynamics and who was related to who and what was what? And is that little boy whose mom is who is the mom of the little boy? I was so confused.
Okay, I think I get it. Nicole is I could hear the gears. I couldn't remember any of their names. I was like, Reese Witherspoon. I'm like, no, what's her name? Nicole is Gil Grissom's Steven, his daughter. Grissom. And then Laura is the stepmom who was also the dead mom in Casper.
Oh,
yes.
Good for her.
So
good for her.
Beautiful. Damn.
She's stunning.
Toby is her son.
Yeah, they
Okay.
could have made him brunette and not blonde,
Yeah,
and I think
that
that
would
would
have
have helped
really
with the
helped.
confusion. But also, like,
Yes.
I guess lots of unrelated children are blonde, So
Yes. So Nicole and Toby are step siblings, and Toby's
it-
real dad is like still lives in Seattle. I don't
and is
think,
like a dirtbag.
yeah,
Okay, and
but I
it's not,
don't
and
think,
so Steven's not the dad because there was that scene where it
Yeah.
was a huge deal that the son called him dad. That's why I got so confused because I was just
Mm.
like, he looks exactly like Reese Witherspoon, the little boy. What's his
Yeah.
name? What's the boy's name?
Toby.
Tobias. Oh yes,
That's his full
Tobias.
name.
I
That's
know,
what they
but it's
call him
just-
at multiple points. That's his name.
It's just
Well,
a
Toby-
preposterous name for a child. Okay, Tobias is a preposterous name for a child. But yeah, he looks like so he could so very easily be blood related to Reese
Reese
Witherspoon.
Witherspoon?
So
Yes.
Or
I
at
was
least
like, oh my
cast as a blood relative. You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
Yeah, I was so confused. Okay, thanks for clearing that up. The whole movie makes a lot more sense to me now.
I got it, but I don't know if that's because I had seen it before and there was some knowledge like buried deep in there. You know what I mean? Like I definitely didn't have it on a conscious level going into the movie. And I did forget at first, and I was called Laura at first, like the girlfriend slash stepmom, because I wasn't sure like how serious they were even.
Mhm.
But I think Laura and Gil Grissom had been together for a while. Who knows how long, but I think they're like legit married, and who knows? They have that family photo with Nicole. I don't know if that's recent, within like the last year that she moved up, probably because kids grow fast.
Yeah.
Toby looks the same age in the photo, but like presumably she did occasionally visit or whatever, So
Yeah, so the whole idea is that like her dad, mom and dad, Steven, and whatever the mom's name is, we never find out.
is Melissa in the original script.
Oh, Melissa then. They get divorced. It's real nasty, and then Steven moves away, right? That's what happened.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
so Nicole, aka Reese Witherspoon, lived with her mom for a cool decade or whatever, and then is just moved to the dad's house for the first time.
And they never
Feels
say
very Twilight, to be honest.
Oh my
Ooh.
god!
Am I
Ooh.
right?
Listen,
Wow,
everything
Gil Grissom
goes
a
back to
little more.
Twilight.
Gil Grissom a little more well adjusted, perhaps, than Charlie Swan, who, like, sure, is a whole police chief, but also can't cook pasta to save his life,
And it's like
but
a hermit, kind of.
yeah,
Definitely. A hot hermit.
a
Hermit.
very.
Oh,
But let's
the
not
sexiest
pretend
hermit.
Gil Grissom is not unbelievably sexy in this movie. Really
he
took me by
looks-
surprise.
I think that was
Me-
like the truly
Monica's not buying
scary.
it.
I'm in a medium place on that. I'm in a medium place.
Sydney,
I was
back
not
me up.
feeling.
I was into this. I was his glasses. There's like this
The
one
glass.
scene,
Okay,
That one
glasses
scene where
were
he's
good.
got the button buttoned down to
and
midway,
the like
right on
round
his chest.
sunglasses. No, there's
Oh.
like this sunglasses thing, and
He
he's
puts
like
the
got-
little sunglass in his mouth like that.
He's got the hot car too.
Okay, yeah,
like
the car.
Gil
car.
Grissom.
And here's the thing too. Anybody with a private security guard, hot.
Their house is fucking insane.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, what does he do? He's
I
just
think
he throws
Something
security
with
guard stuff.
Vancouver.
I think like home security stuff
Is it? Because like he just
or
throws
architecture,
out
maybe.
business terms. And
Yeah.
it's like, I always gotta go to Vancouver. We gotta get this project in Vancouver. I gotta go back to Vancouver. And I'm like, okay, I
But
guess
we do-
Vancouver's close to Seattle.
We do see that one the like model that he shows his coworker boss. Not clear to me the working relationship there, but the graphics are like so ancient. It's so funny. It looks like like an old roller coaster tycoon type graphics almost.
Ooh.
And they're like, it's beautiful, stunning work of art. Like so funny. But I think it's got to be like architecture, like city planning or design or something. It can't be city planning or design, I guess, if he's working with another country, but something in that vein where Laura said to him at one point later in the movie, like, you designed our house, like there's steel enforced walls, blah blah blah, you know what I mean? So he's definitely in that sort of business or adjacent industry.
Well, whatever it is obviously going well, and he's doing a good job because he like almost. I mean, he's like 1/4 of a land mass away from living on an island. It's a peninsula. It seems.
Yes.
So that's exciting. He's got a cute little security guard. R.I.P. they made such a big deal about the security system the entire time. And I was just like, this is going to be such a showdown in the final act. And of course it was.
They made such a big deal about the security system and the code for the house, and then they never acknowledged how all these people are getting by Larry. Larry's just letting them through the gate every time.
Right.
Like, when at the end, okay, spoilers, obviously. But at the end, when Larry approaches David and is like, "What are you doing in here?" It's like, Larry, didn't you just let him and all of his friends through in their car? Like, otherwise, how did they get here?
No. They didn't let him through. They pulled they're in the car with David and all his goonies, and they're driving down the street, and they pass the guard shack, and he says, "Pull over up here. We'll go through the woods," and they go through the woods.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, there should not be allowed to be roads through the woods if you have a guard on the road. You know what I mean? Like, what's the point?
Well, it's not a road. Like, they park the car on the side of the road and they walk through the woods.
You watched much more
plot
carefully than
hole.
I did, I guess.
I was literally cleaning my room while I watched this, so that's not true. But
You see a director's cut that I didn't see. I don't know.
You pick up on details like, how the family dynamics work, the fact that he is
We've all
maybe
got
an
our strengths.
architect, all this stuff. And I paid attention to that one scene. That's it.
Look, it's a collaborative effort. Thank God we're all here together joining puzzle pieces.
Together,
our combined
it's like
skill sets.
Together, it's like we almost watched the movie, so it's pretty good.
Look, brains can't store every detail forever.
No, definitely not. But yeah, okay. So the dad, I guess, is hot. I'd rather see Laura and the red convertible, but
sure. But I'm just like, I don't know. I feel like maybe if you had watched CSI as much as I did as a child, he would have had that same formative impression on you. He's not necessarily hot to me as Gil Grissom. That's something I'll have to revisit later in life. But seeing Gil Grissom like step into this protective dad role did it for me. Yeah.
Okay. We'll explore that in therapy.
Gil Grissom. Yeah. That's gonna have to be unpacked on my own time, not here today. But
oh man. But I mean, Reese Witherspoon kind of has like a great setup here. She's got it all as far as friends. She's got sexy ass Alyssa Milano, Margot, who's the bad girl, with the cool 90s bob that we all aspire to have with the little pieces in the front. Oh, God,
not me. I can never do a bob. I can never pull off a bob.
As a recovering bob girl myself, I was like, I gotta do it again. I have to do it.
As a current bob adjacent girl, I felt it.
Yeah. My next door neighbor saw a picture of me with a bob for the first time and told me that she loved it like that. And I was like, I'm cutting it off right now. Anyway, I hope she doesn't listen to this. Anyway, so we have to delete that from the podcast. Oh God.
Nope.
But anyway, I'm going to kill myself and we're moving on. So, she also has it going on because apparently she has this friend that we all love. His name is Gary. And according to what Sydney told me, we were supposed to read him as a gay man. I didn't get that. I thought he was just the one nice straight man in the entire world, but apparently he's gay. And so amazing. That's great. That's why we're covering this on the pod.
Per IMDb, he was gay explicitly in the original script. And so I don't know if they just took out the mention of him being gay and he was still intended to be a gay character, but like quietly, or if they like took that out entirely. But the original intention for sure was for Gary to be gay. I don't know if you're really able to read his character as gay in the finished movie. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Although frankly, diversity of gay men, you know what I mean? Like he can be however he wants and also be gay. And I love him and I'm obsessed with him and he's a legend and he's a king. Yeah, and I will take that to heart, but that aside.
No, yeah. I mean, she's got it all. She's got the two coolest best friends ever, but still she yearns for more because she's a 16-year-old girl. And what are you gonna do? Okay, this is my big issue. They walk into the coffee shop and Alyssa Milano Margot is immediately all horned up for the ugliest man I've ever seen in my life.
Oh my God, he's so skeevy.
Look, Margot also has some things to unpack in therapy, all right?
Not even like heroin chic hot, which is what I expected we were gonna get from a character like that. He was just like
gross. Like,
can we consider that he may have been hot to some degree in the 90s? You know what I
No.
mean?
no.
It was like, no, it was like he was almost there. It was almost there. Like he had the outfit and he had the hair, but like together, it was
His
wrong.
beard was bad.
It was, yeah, I think the beard took it from like grunge to like, I don't even know.
And also,
I was
like,
trying to make
he
a rhyme,
looked-
and there's nothing that really rhymes with
I
grunge.
called him Dirty Biker Dave Grohl in my notes at one point. And so I
Yeah.
feel like there could have been, maybe she was like really into Dave Grohl. Like, who knows? You know what I mean? Maybe there's something to the
Like-
90s of it all.
he looked
It's like-
too old. Like,
Yeah.
He did look
way
45.
too-
He looked
right? No, I mean, like,
45.
he looked way too old. Like, they're 16. Like, he looked 45. This was
If
just
he
like,
if he was supposed to be Dave
ugh.
Grohl, he was like bootleg back alley Dave Grohl. Like, definitely not. So I was like, Alyssa Milano, come on, girl. Like, Marky Mark is right there. Like, he's
He's
literally
too clean shaven.
right there.
He's too baby faced for
Ugh.
bad girl Margot.
Put a little eyeliner on him, I guess. Ooh, I would have liked to see that.
anybody with
pull it
eyeliner, you
off.
know, I'm down.
Yeah. Yeah. But it's just like, so also, do they end up going to that party that's called like Fetish? Is that the
Yeah.
party that they go to?
Yeah.
Love that.
Oh, yeah.
That's great. That's cool. It's like, it's my first party and I'm going to a fetish warehouse party. I'm like, go for it, girl. Go all in. Fuck James Taylor. Like, we're going straight to the fetish warehouse party in downtown Seattle.
Okay, but I also do miss going to like underground warehouse parties as a teenager. Like, that was a big
Terrifying.
part
Terrifying.
of
Terrifying.
my-
You were such a cool bad girl. I was like,
Monica
didn't even
and I
go
were
to the house
nice little
parties.
private school girls. Yeah.
I didn't even go to the house parties. Like, Chelsea, I feel like you went to the house parties. I went to like
To some degree, but I had
one.
like a 10 p.m. curfew. So I didn't stay very long.
I went to like 2 and they were in second semester senior year. That's it. Kill me. Oh,
Mine was so weird because like sometimes we would go into Atlanta and go to parties, and then like we would party in fields because, you know, Georgia in the
did
South
you
where
do
it
cow
would just
tipping?
no.
I'm sorry.
How dare you,
then-
Monica? Disrespectful.
But then like
Mean, I'm sorry.
moved to Chicago senior year, and it was just like all the fun underground like raves. Those were the best.
Terrifying. Terrifying. Terrifying.
Ah, cool girl, Sydney in Chicago. I can't. I
Cool
can't
girl
handle it.
Sydney is cooler than I'll ever be.
Yeah.
But that's okay with me. I'm comfortable being comfortable. You know what I mean? But that said, I will say this warehouse party immediately went off the fucking rails in this movie. It was like somebody bumped into Logan or something, and then immediately it was a fist fight, and then immediately people started pushing giant columns over, and then
That was
immediately everybody like
insane.
ran to the roof. It was like, what the fuck is
And
happening?
then there's
That
like a
fight breaks
cop
out.
helicopter.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Okay. Well, you're
I
missing
feel like-
something super
Oh.
crucial from right before that happened, which
Okay.
was the very romantic meet cute again with them
Mm.
around the pole, which was adorable.
Yeah.
And it was supposed to be this really cute thing, right? They're talking, they're not dancing, they're all eyes on each other, blah, 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 blah. Well, my eyes were not just on them because just behind Reese Witherspoon was this, I don't know, a person, they are beyond gender, who was wearing the tiny little 90s glasses, the like sporty kind, and a Star Trek shirt. And they were just right behind
ooh.
Reese Witherspoon the entire time doing like the most amazing 90s dance moves. And I was just like, I can't, how did you choose this guy to be the person in the background during this important moment in the film? I was like, forget Reese Witherspoon. Tell me more about this person right now. It was incredible. I hope they made it out after the cops rolled this party.
I didn't notice them at all. So that
Oh.
is another incredible catch from you, Monica.
I don't know why. Usually I'm like only the facts. I only hear the dialogue and that's it. But today I was like, it's the ambiance, it's everything. But yeah, I think that it got so crazy because the cops started rolling the party and then people started running around and they
Oh.
pushed into Toby. Is his name Toby?
Who are
Bootleg
you?
back alley. Dave
Logan.
Grohl.
Logan.
Toby's the little brother.
Toby's little brother. Oh God. Imagine Toby at the rave. I'm all over the place. See, I don't know the name. I don't know anyone's name. I think that's what happened. And then everyone was like, oh, fuck, we're going to go to jail, I guess, from this party. I mean, this party was fucking massive. This is like the biggest party I've ever seen in my life. So like, it was kind of inevitable that it was going to get rolled. But like the immediate introduction of a police helicopter is just
right
like
there
Seattle.
waiting. Yeah.
Seattle, there must be nothing else going on except for these teens having fun. But they made the classic mistake. They went up. Why would they run up? You'd think that Marky Mark, with his experience being a bad boy, would know you never run up. You run out.
But it worked out. You know what I mean? It did work out. So
yeah.
Although I will say they ran up and I was like, you're not even going to check for Margot. Like I was getting annoyed with Reese Witherspoon. I was like, you came here with your friend. Don't abandon your friend just because she's into Dirty Biker Dave Grohl. And then they're like up on the roof. Reese Witherspoon is about to climb down the like, it's not called an escape. Thank you. Fire escape. I was like, escape ladder sounds wrong, but fire escape is very close, frankly. But she's about to climb down the fire escape, and then she sees Margot, and she's like, Margot, and then Margot's just like, bye, bestie. Like, see you later. Like, so funny.
Like, where were they going? Because they were running the opposite direction on a roof.
Yeah,
I was like,
and
where,
she's
like,
just like,
are they just gonna fly off the other side? Like, I don't understand. It seemed very clear, like at the beginning of that scene, that their only option to escape was the fire escape, but apparently not.
I just thought it was so funny. Everybody's like running for their fucking life from the police, and Margot's just like, bye, bestie. She's so chill. She's just like, see you later. Catch you on the
every weekend. Party
girl,
bad girl, Margot is used to this type of shit.
Obsessed.
But yeah, okay, and that then leads to the first like romantic part with Marky Mark and Nicole. God, I was like, it's gonna be really hard for me to not call her Reese Witherspoon the entire time. You'll
call her Reese Witherspoon the entire time.
Call her Reese Witherspoon the entire time.
I'm gonna call him Gil Grissom the entire time. That's not his name in this movie. That's not the actor's name. That's just where I know him from. So I stuck to it with his name is gone now. His name has escaped me. Girl Meets World, Ma, Corey Fogelmanis, Farkle, that whole episode.
Yeah.
So Gil Grissom. Sorry, he shouldn't have picked such an iconic role for probably almost 2 decades. You know what I mean?
That's fair.
Yeah.
I bet he made a shitload of money from CSI. He'll be fine.
Yeah, he'll be fine. He's gonna be okay. But I feel like there's a lot of red flags with Marky Mark, like from the get, you know?
Oh yeah.
Even if this man speaks very sweetly and politely and quietly to you at the party and is like, you're not dancing? Nobody asked me to dance. Like, don't get in this strange man's car.
No.
Yeah.
That's a mistake.
No. Also, apparently it's the type of car that explodes, and she recognizes that and is still in the car many times throughout the film after that.
It's not the car's fault. Babe, it's not the car's fault, but it still might explode on you. So maybe don't go in.
It was a Corvair, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. I don't know what that means, but it did say that on the car.
It's an old car. We had a family friend, I think, who had one. Like in high school, like they got her an old one so she could like drive it around the small town, and they were all like, is this car gonna blow up?
Yeah, I mean, like, it's a sexy looking car, but like if it's like the two sides of the coin are like, look sexy but maybe blow up, like I don't think that it's worth it, you know? I would rather not blow up, you know? I don't know, it's just me. But I mean, also besides that, you know, kind of like kidnapping her, he also like big red flags right away. You know, he changes the time on her watch. It's gonna be hard for her to reset that, you know.
He reaches over and spins that little dial. He really tries to pull that clock trick twice, and and
it works.
Oh my god!
Kind of. I know. I was like, this is kind of your whole thing, I guess. You're like, time. Marky Mark's whole thing in this movie is like, time does not exist. Time is just a concept. Like, okay, Marky Mark. And also, the biggest red flag of all is that he makes out with her cheek, like licks her side of her face to initiate the kiss because she was being bashful, as she is wont to do. Let her do what she wants to do. She's 16 years old. Also, how old is he?
They never say, but at least 21 because we do see him drinking a beer at one point.
Yeah, he's over 18 for sure. I was like,
He tries to play it off like he's about to go to college. He says, like, maybe I'm going to go to college in the fall. That has absolutely no bearing on how old he actually is. Even if it's true, you can go back to school at any age.
Yeah.
That's not the case for him, and we know this.
Yeah.
But I got to think he was like 23, 24. I mean, maybe he was supposed to be younger, but they never clarified. And just like judging on the company he keeps, he seems mid-20s.
It's a little statutory.
He's so icky.
So icky,
in this.
but a little dreamy. But like, imagine the audacity, just being like, I want to kiss this woman, and she's giving me her cheek. Well, I'll just.
I really didn't like that.
I didn't like looking at it. It was so horrible.
Here's the thing.
She was like, "Oh, please stop!" So she moved her face, and then they were making out. I've been licked on the face. It's not nice.
I think there is an appropriate time for face licking. That is not the right time.
It has to be consensual.
Exactly.
At my 22nd birthday party, one of my friends was really, really drunk. And they came up to me and they were like, up the entire side of my face. I have never forgiven them. And I talk shit on them about this all the time. I literally told the story yesterday. So don't do it. Don't do it. People don't forget. They got long memories when it comes to licking.
I'm sure I did some obnoxious, I think this is very funny licking as a teenager. You know what I mean? But he was doing it in a serious capacity. I don't think I licked anyone's face up and down. I think very possibly one of our spooky friends has licked my face up and down, but it was not quite so memorable. But I don't know. Any very whatever. I would like to move on.
It feels, you think that it's gonna feel like a dog licking your face, and you're like, oh, that's not that bad. No, dog tongues are completely different than human tongues, as you might imagine. But I didn't imagine that, so I didn't think it was gonna be so bad, and it was that bad. So much slimier, very bad, not good. So big red flags right away, and Reese is eating it up. She's like, oh, lick my face again. Because she is a child. She doesn't know better.
And like, they're just like, I guess, heavy making out because he's just consuming her entire face. And then she's all of a sudden like, I'm a virgin. I can't do this. Like, girl, y'all are just eating each other's faces. Like, it's fine.
Well, he was going for the tit too, right away.
Ugh.
I was like, this is this girl's first kiss, you know? Please relax. I don't know if it's her first kiss, but it could have been. It could have been.
It could have been.
But yeah, she falls for him immediately.
Yeah, I don't know.
The swoopy here is blinding.
I don't know. I just feel like right off the bat, it was alarming to me that she was like, my curfew's 10, and he's like, that's okay. And she's like, no, my curfew's 10, and he's like, let me change your watch. But I guess it worked for her, even though it's like, babe, you know all the watches at home are not gonna also be changed. And she got home and she tried to be like, Laura, how was I to know that my watch was broken? And it's like, Reese Witherspoon, you know when is midnight roughly and when is 2 a.m. Like, let's be a little honest with ourselves. Although I don't think Laura called her a slut. And I was like, Laura, this is your one bad moment in the movie. And yeah, we'll
and
never
then she
forgive
wouldn't
you.
apologize for it.
Yes.
The dad was like, bruh, should you have called her a slut? And she was like, I just said she looked like a slut. I was like, oh, it's the same fucking thing.
Laura.
I will say, I think he did, because he was like, you need to apologize for her. And she was like, when she apologizes for calling me a slut. And I did like that Gil Grissom like stood up for his daughter, be like, did you really have to call her a slut? But also, like, there's way more bad Laura moments in this movie too. Like, no,
yeah, I agree. Like, she's so beautiful, but she's wrong like a lot of the time, like 99% of the time.
Some of the time, like a lot of the time,
like, she's like so maybe sexy when you're doing bad parenting.
She's doing her best. Look, I will say Gil Grissom also made mistakes. That was a good Gil Grissom moment. He did a lot of things right. He did some things wrong, but he also did a lot of things right.
Yes.
Okay, so also I was confused about what this movie was going to be, because there's a period, I don't remember what point of their torrid love affair, you know, where like it's pretty early on, and Marky Mark is like, hey, Nicole, like kind of out of nowhere, I'd like to meet your family. And I was like, oh, so I thought it was going to be that he was using her to get to her rich fucking family and steal all their shit because he was being so sus about like being like, let me meet your family. You know what I mean? And I was just like, okay, it's like the second date. Usually people don't want to fuck around with people's family. They don't want to see them because that's stressful.
Sure. I
And
will
so
say
that's what I thought it was going to happen. And then it was so much worse.
well, based on that one gross piece of IMDb trivia, you're not far off the mark of what a version of this movie could have been. If you'd like to share that, Sydney.
Please, because this is fucked.
So we don't get like a lot of, I mean, we do vaguely get like some Mark Wahlberg like backstory in this movie that he was like an orphan and like bounced around because he was like a bad boy. But
which is like ridiculous. Gil Grissom is like, and then they finally kicked him out when he was 18. And it's like, yeah, Gil Grissom, that's how the foster system works. You get kicked out when you're 18.
When you're 18.
That's just how it works.
That's how it is.
The whole thing is set up to do that. But so the original like script was his mom went to a frat party and was like sexually assaulted by one of the fraternity members, and he wanted nothing to do with her and the baby, and the baby was Mark Wahlberg, so he was basically using his half sister to like get back at his father.
Oh, you skipped a part, which is that Gil Grissom was the frat boy.
Yeah. Steve, the dad, was the frat boy who did the...
Meaning Gil Grissom was Marky Mark's dad and also Nicole Reese Witherspoon's dad. Same dad. Same dad.
He was using his half-sister.
And the tattoo was going to say Nicole Forever with the EVE part of ever larger because the mom's name was Eve.
That's stupid.
Yeah. I'm so glad they took that out because first of all, dumb. But also, so like there was that though, where he was trying to get to Gil Grissom in a way in one of the drafts of the script. Thank God, not the original.
I'm so glad they didn't go with that. I don't need more incest. I don't need the twist to be
enough.
Incest,
it's enough.
You know?
It's enough. It would be a through line to Midsummer, but that aside, when I was 16 with my like first high school boyfriend, you know, the first time he drove me home, he had to come in and meet my mom. So I thought from that line, it was him trying to be like, see, I may be an older guy, but I'm like nice and family friendly and like respectful. And like, I'm not a bad guy. I want to meet your parents. Like, I think that's what it was trying to do.
Yeah. I think that's fair. I just think that he said it kind of abruptly, and that's why I was like, he was like, "You're so pretty. This is a nice park. Can I meet your father tomorrow?" Like that was the vibe I got. But you know,
let me meet your daddy.
Oh God. But okay. There's a lot to talk about in this movie, but the most important thing to talk about is the roller coaster scene, probably. I mean,
yes,
oh my God.
Yes. That's the most memorable part of this movie. That is the part that I heard about that I was like, I must watch this movie years ago. Wild horses over the roller coaster scene, iconic, legendary, incredible, untouchable, amazing, magnificent. I think it's just truly beautiful is the thing.
Stunning.
It's so
it is
such an iconic pop culture moment.
To be fingered on a roller coaster while Wild Horses played, like I never would have come up with that, but now it's all I can think about, you know?
Yes, and that Reese was like taking agency in that scene. Reese was the one who was like finger bang me on this roller coaster.
She was
wow.
Yes.
I too felt like I was on the roller coaster of emotions at the very least. You know, it was truly stunning. They bring wild horses back. It's a theme in the film. Also, it's a nice cover of Wild Horses.
Yeah. By a band called the Sundays.
Oh yeah. Okay, that's a beautiful song. You guys keep talking. I'm just gonna think about it for a little while.
Do you think if I like start asking people, I'll be like, so like, do you like roller coasters? They're gonna start like picking up what I'm laying down the groundwork.
Do you like roller coasters and the cover of the song Wild Horses by the Sundays?
You should just be in the car and turn on that song and then be like, do you like
roller coasters?
That's I think the move.
Yeah, that's the move. As someone who's like very into like was it like carnival, street fair kind of things like
Oh,
that?
Very
yeah.
scared of where
ones
you
in
were
the
going
park?
with that sentence.
Oh yeah, I couldn't remember the word for carnival, so that's why I had the dramatic pause. Brain's not all the way there this morning. But that's now a new dream. Are those back yet post COVID? I hope so.
I think somebody went to a county fair recently that I know. So
Spooky
perhaps.
Tuesday takes the OC fair. Let's go.
Okay, but also like the Santa Monica Pier is right there, guys.
That's true. That's a good point. Although their roller
That's
coasters
true.
are baby coasters.
That roller coaster sucks.
Although, okay, sorry, this is off topic, but someone climbed up one of the roller coasters at Magic Mountain recently. Did you guys hear about that? That was insane.
No, I did
It's
not.
this really fucking tall one. He climbed to the
tower.
top. Yes. They
Wow.
had to I don't know how
Why?
they got him down, but I don't know.
Just to prove that he could.
They'd shut the whole park down.
It's weird. If they had the audio for the video of him climbing, you would have heard wild horses.
horses.
He was just screaming it, singing it as he went up.
I don't know. Absolutely. That's probably more terrifying to me than any scary movie. The thought of climbing up to the top of a roller coaster without any kind of harness or anything like that. The nausea I feel just
Don't watch Free
thinking
Solo.
about it. Oh my God. We'll never. Not on my radar at all.
But yeah, I mean, we have a beautiful, sexy scene, and then Reese is like, I fuck now. Like, just so you know, like that's what happens. I fuck now. It's something that occurs. My boyfriend's now in the room, so he can hear me talking about this.
So he ducked down to try and be out of the view.
It is good to know that your boyfriend knows that you fuck now. So that is
Yeah.
a good thing he should know.
Hey, Adam, I fuck now. Just so you know. And so does Reese Witherspoon. He's screaming, what?
It's news to him.
He just found out. But like they go from like sexy roller coaster time to her being like, hey baby, you want to come over tonight? My stepmom and dad are having a sexy night in Vancouver.
The way he says I'm busy, but I could come over afterwards. He really leans into that Boston accent many times in the movie, but that line specifically I had to write down the way he says afterwards.
Afterwards.
And
I can't even do justice to it because my mouth doesn't know how to form those sounds that way.
No.
Also, okay, what were they? Do we find out what the David and his goons were up to? Were they robbing someplace or something like that? They were giving me crime vibes in the car when he couldn't come over.
Don't they sell drugs?
Is that what they were doing?
They definitely do drugs. I don't know if they sell drugs.
I feel like they're all doing and selling drugs.
Sure.
Yeah.
There's some overlap perhaps.
Marty,
They left their party house den, whatever, which is funny to me because apparently it's Logan's dad's house. First of all, it's a beautiful house. They trashed it. And then they're just
all over the wall.
we're all going to have to leave when Logan's dad comes back into town. How long has Logan's dad been away that they destroyed this house already?
Maybe Logan's dad is in jail and he was the one running their drug thing. Now they've inherited
what a fun
this
head
drug ring.
Logan's
Family
dad
business.
painted all those beautiful graffiti murals himself,
Then you'd think Logan's dad would appreciate that they've apparently moved a pool table into the den. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. But okay,
who knows?
I bring that up to say that one, she makes her fatal mistake there when she gives Marky Mark the code to the high-tech
and
security.
says I'll be asleep, let yourself in, girl.
Oh girl, that is,
I know.
Mm-mm.
And then he's just so creepy because okay, I get it, whatever, hot, sexy, you're asleep and then oh, there's a man here, giving you incubus vibes, right? A little bit, you know?
No, it's giving me Twilight vibes once more.
Yeah. Edward in the corner of the room.
This movie is the precursor to Twilight.
Stephanie Meyer, this is so obvious that you plagiarized 1996 Fear. Come on, girl. You didn't even try to hide it. That whole part of Twilight where they just talk about wild horses too. It's no, that doesn't exist. The roller coaster scene in Twilight. No,
you guys know the roller coaster scene. It's in Breaking Dawn Part 2.
Yeah.
Can you
you imagine? Like that's what they do for their honeymoon. Instead of like going to like that fuck palace, they go on a roller coaster in Wild Horses Place. Would be iconic.
Incredible,
I would watch the
iconic
rewrite.
rewrite
I would
fanfic.
watch the rewrite.
Chelsea, write some fanfic for this immediately.
I will do a drabble for you where Bella and Edward go on a roller
Thank
coaster.
you. Thank you very much. But okay, so he just comes in and he just like takes off all of her clothes and is like, yeah, we are boning right now. Like, no, we're not having foreplay. It's happening. I have the condom on already, I guess. Like it's going down. Like
Okay, but also like right before he gets to her and he's like looking at the house and
And
like
her
all
little
this
daddy's
oh,
girl
and he found the
bracelet.
daddy's girl
Oh yeah, and
bracelet.
he's like stroking the daddy's girl bracelet. You're just like, ooh,
Sir, 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 sir. Sir.
sir.
Sir, please play out
Sir?
your daddy issues elsewhere.
But it's like, okay, are they competing? Like, is this like just a power struggle between David and Gil Grissom of like,
I mean,
who's
yes.
in
That's what it
control
is.
of Nicole? Like,
That's
man.
That's
100%.
literally what the story is. And it's so ancient, so medieval.
And Nicole so many times tries to be like, I have agency in my own life. And they both just go, no,
Nah.
nope, no, you don't.
And she takes her agency but they're both like so controlling, you know, like his reaction. So, okay, right. They have sex. That's what
Yes.
happens. She loses their virginity. They
It's
don't
very
talk about it
16,
beforehand.
You know what I mean? He's
They don't
older.
talk
He
about
should know
beforehand.
better, but
No words are spoken. No words being like, hello, are you ready to have sex for the first time right now?
Words are spoken.
We're
She
gonna
goes,
do it.
David.
Oh, that's it. That's perfect. I mean, it's not like she wasn't down, like she was, but like there's a talk should be had. I would say it's her first time. Put a towel down.
Yes.
Come on, poor thing. But like, what was I gonna say? Got distracted thinking about this. Also, her lingerie was really cute. I'll say that. She knew it was up. Also, it was white, which was like a whole like virginal like trope, whatever the fuck. And I was like, okay, I see you. I know what's going on here. I've seen movies before.
spot a visual theme.
Yeah. But like, this is what I was gonna say. Later on, when they Daddy-O finds the fucking Trojan condom wrapper, nice product placement for Trojan there. And he's just immediately like, now I control your life. And if you breathe, you have to ask me. And if you go to the bathroom, you have to ask me. It's just like, what a horrible response. Not helpful at all. Like, just like lifting up the freaking drawbridge so the princess can't leave the home. That's what it's his reaction.
Which is like an absolute fucking shame because they sleep together after she gives him the code, which, like, first of all, I get text messaging is not a thing. It's 1996. She can't be like, text me when you get here. But I don't know why she can't just wait up and then be like, do a gentle knock on the door so you don't wake my younger brother Tobias, who could potentially tell on me to our parents.
Tobias.
You know what I mean? Like, she's got to play it low key to get away with this at all. I understand. Anyway, so they sleep together, and then the next day at school, she like hugs her friend Gary. Mark hops out of the car, immediately beats the shit. He doesn't just like punch him one time and he's down. It's like Gary goes down and Mark continues to kick him on the ground. Reese tries to get in between them. Mark throws her backwards. She gets a black eye and she's like ready to be done with this. She's like, that was horrifying. I hated that. You kicked the shit out of my friend Gary way after you realized it was Gary and he was on the ground because you punched him
and then you hit me.
A black eye. Yeah. We don't hit.
Like what?
She's already ready to like leave him in the dust though, and Laura is in there comforting him. She's ready. And then Gil Grissom comes in, finds the condom, and is like, "You can't see him anymore." And it's like she already decided you're undoing all this hard work she did by making her rebel because you're being unreasonable. Like she was there. She was on that journey.
Okay, but also another Laura is the worst moment because she's all like, where did you get this black eye? And she lies and be like, oh, like I got elbowed in PE class. So she's like, let's just like cover it up with hair and makeup, and like doesn't even ask any more questions to like poke and prod a little bit. I was just like,
I
girl,
feel like
mm,
was
do
acting really
some.
sus about it. Yeah. So maybe she should have done a little more inquiry, but she also wasn't as sussed out by Marky Mark, and maybe her brain, her beautiful, beautiful brain doesn't immediately go to domestic violence, which like good for her that that's not her first thing that her mind goes to, I guess, but also like let's ask some follow-ups. Look at how cagey Reese is being right now. Super cagey.
I didn't hate that actually, because I felt like she took an opportunity to bond with Nicole and to build up trust to some degree and a relationship after she called her a slut. You know what I mean? There's got to be some repair work done first before you can get Reese like opening up. So I felt like potentially it was some good groundwork laid. And she was like setting up a relationship where Nicole would be able to come to her when she was ready. Unfortunately, Gil Grissom did ruin that by just coming in way too hot, way too hard.
Yeah, and also I feel like I agree with you, but then like when Laura talked to Steve and is like, "Oh yeah, she got a black eye from PE class and I gave her a makeup lesson."
Oh, that's true.
And
She
then
is
I
like,
gave
I
her a
didn't pick
makeup
up on
lesson
any
so
vibes.
she
Yeah.
won't look like a slut. Like that's what she like pretty much says. I think she does say that. She literally says that. So I'm just like canceled.
She said, and so she won't look like a slut. I said,
Laura,
baby,
Laura.
Okay.
Laura's.
Then
She's got a weird fixation on this one particular thing.
I know. But then also like Margot with the whole like black eye thing as well is just
Margot.
like this just
oh yeah
irritated me so much. Where what does she say? She's like, sometimes that's just their asshole way of showing you they love you. Like
somebody send Margot to therapy.
No,
Margot has a lot she needs to be working through, and especially by the end of the movie has 1 billion times more she needs to be working through, but clearly already needed some adult intervention in her life earlier on. She does have a mom. Her mom is pretty chill though, and it's just like, bye, do whatever you want. Go hang out with this 45-year-old Dave Grohl impersonator. I don't know. Margot very clearly does not have a healthy relationship with men for the most part. She like tries to get Gil Grissom to want to fuck her at one point earlier in the movie where she's wearing her little short skirt and she's bending over being like, hello, Gil Grissom. And then like Marky Mark is in the room in that scene. It's very strange. It's a very strange moment.
And she also says weird. Like something to little tiny child Toby where she's like, when are you gonna let me ravish you? And I'm just like, when are you gonna
grow up so I can ravish you? He's 7.
Right?
Like, I just feel like Margot has a bad history with dating and with men, and she's also 16, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
She does not have the adult perspective to be able to step away from any of this yet and then be like, oh, so many people took advantage of me in my teens. I thought I was mature, which is why Margot needs to watch this movie. That's right. My takeaway from this movie. It's okay. My mom bought the movie 13 for me to watch it when I turned 13, which was a mistake. But she was like, we're going to watch it together. And I watched it by myself. And it was fine, you know, whatever. But she bought it to be like a learning lesson. Don't think that it taught me much, but this movie I think could be like a great teaching tool for teenage girls who get preyed on by gross older guys. Yeah. And you're a teenage girl, and so someone is telling you they like value you and your opinion and that they want to hear what you have to say, and you're so mature and you're so smart, and like teenage girls get belittled everywhere to such a high degree that of course when someone is giving you attention and validation, you're like, someone thinks that I'm a real human person. That's great. I love that. And then you don't always have the perspective to step away until you're an adult and be like, that person was using me and that person was hanging out with me, a 16-year-old, because women their own age do have enough experience in the world to realize when someone is being disgusting to them a lot of the time. And I don't know. I just feel like this movie could help a lot of people not fall into this trap. I don't know.
Seriously.
I wish every teenage girl got to see this film and then be like, okay, avoid anybody who is like this.
Yeah. So Marky Mark and Reese break up a fair few times in this movie, you know, because she's like, oh, you beat the ever loving shit out of my best friend, and then low-key me too, so bye. But then somehow he weasels his little way back into her heart with the worst apology that's ever been told in the history of the land. Like, it was
In
like,
all of the land.
he said at one point, I'm sorry that your friend was hurt.
Yeah,
Bruh.
he says like, I'm sorry about what happened to Gary. What happened to Gary,
You
babe?
did
You
it.
happened. You
That
happened to
reminded
Gary.
me. This reminded me. This is a through line to that article I read about Midsummer that was like, and then by happenstance, the parents died while Terry was killing herself. No, it was murder. Like,
Murder.
that was Marky
Yeah.
Mark's fist on Gary's face. Well, it was more his boot on Gary's ribcage, but still.
I want to highlight part of that quote actually, because I actually
Yeah.
think it's so fucked up. It makes me so mad. But I think it's another one of those things where it's like, if people saw this line and the way that he uses this to manipulate, like, could that be helpful in identifying it in their own lives? But he says to her, I didn't know it was Gary. I swear, all I saw was some guy with his paws all over you. I mean, knowing how many bad guys are out there, guys that would take advantage of somebody like you, guys that I would kill if they ever did anything to you. I just lost it. I want you to know that I'm very sorry about what happened to Gary. I am, but I can't be sorry that I love you. I learned from you, Nicole.
Ugh.
I really did. I learned that I need people more than I thought. I've always been the one taking care of things. And with you, it's different. And I want us to take care of each other. And I promise nothing like that will ever happen again. I'm sorry. Like, bullshit. Fuck off.
Oh my God.
There's so many bad guys out in the world, and I'm one of them. Like, shut up,
I hate him. I hate him
He's
so
the
much.
worst.
little
But it
monster.
fucking works. Like, ugh.
It does. And I think it's in part because Gil Grissom like pushed her right into his arms, basically. And so
Well,
she was
yeah.
already being like, nobody listened to him. And then I don't know. It's she doesn't even fully like buy it, maybe. I can't remember
Yeah.
exactly.
No, I don't
She's
think
not
she
sold
does.
until the Gil Grissom Marky Mark scene outside of the school.
So Steve
Yeah.
like runs him down, essentially, like stalks him and is like, you need to stay the fuck away from my daughter, you psychopath. Like, I know that you're a piece of shit. And Marky Mark gets real feisty and obnoxious. And then I've never been more horrified. Like, I was like guffawing. I was laughing so hard when like Steve leaves and Marky Mark's just like, like an ape. I was like, what the fuck? I was like, did his heart stop? Is he like giving himself CPR? Like, what's happening right now? I was like, this is a odd display of anger. And then you find out that he was beating the shit out of himself so he could gaslight poor little Reese
Nicole.
Witherspoon, Nicole, into thinking that his dad beat him up. Like, who would believe that Steve would be like, blah, 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 only on his chest?
Only
Who punches the shit out of someone's chest only? Sorry.
Just punch
saying.
in the tit. Very
Right.
Jennifer's body. A clear reference. But I do have to say there is like one line in that dialogue that just cracks me up. It's like so fucked up and problematic. But the way that Gil Grissom confronts him and he says, you know, Steve, you're really not. And he says F slur, and I'm not going to say it because it's not my place to say it. But the way he says, like, you're really not an F slur for a gay man. And I just like, it's so terrible, but the way he delivers it is so funny to me. He's like, you're really not gay. And Gil Grissom is like, huh? And he's just like, no, I'm serious. You seem like a pretty solid guy. You should lighten up on yourself. And then it dissolves into Marky Mark being like, you're inadequate and you have fears and listen to me and I'm hip to your problems. I know you abandoned Nicole, blah, blah, blah. Like all of this long shit. And then being like, by the way, your wife wants to fuck me. Like,
I think she dies though.
She definitely does.
Like,
no,
that's true.
stop. Laura would never.
She's thinking about it. She's like, wild horses, you know, whenever she sees him.
No, she's not. Don't say that about Laura. I don't know. I just thought that line cracked me up because I never could have predicted that would be the series of words that would come out of his mouth.
Wow,
You know what
you're
I mean?
really not
It
an
took me,
F-slur.
yeah, it took me so unbelievably off guard. It was so funny to me. I'm so sorry to anybody who that line offends, but like cracks me up. What a strange way to confront someone.
He's
Such
got his own way.
So funny.
What a way with words, Marky Mark. That's why, you know, he was
But
with the
yeah.
Funky Bunch for so long.
That's how he gets Nicole back, Reese Witherspoon back. And then he doesn't lose her again until he's like, you could come to my place. And she's like, no, I gotta go home. And then she changes her mind and she's like, I will go to his place after all. She goes over there, gets out of the car, immediately sees Margot gyrating on what's his name? Logan's lap. As Logan is like smoking some sort of probably
some sort of crack.
Some sort of crack.
Something from a pipe. And David comes over and like grabs Margot by the back of the neck. She's like clearly in pain. He's like lifting her up, and then he's like, say you want to fuck me, until she says it. And then Nicole, understandably, you know, she's 16. She doesn't also have like the full capacity to grasp what's going on, especially with just a glimpse.
It was frustrating though.
And with her own like emotional insight clouding her ability to have perspective on the situation. But poor Margot, you know what I mean? Like
she literally goes and gets literally raped by him, because like that's not consensual at all. He literally carries her away and she's like not kicking and screaming, but kind of.
Yeah, he
and then
throws her over his shoulder and carries her upstairs. And like, I almost was very terrified. Yes, I almost was very terrified that the movie was gonna have her be like, whatever, this is fine. This is part of my bad girl life and this is normal. Thank God they didn't, because they have Margot come out later like a changed woman being like, I have gone through something traumatic and I need help and support and I'm afraid. Like,
She's
not
like,
that I'm glad that happened to her at all, but I'm
Reese-
glad that the movie like respected what it was, instead of being like, it's the 90s and we sometimes play a little fast and loose with consent. Like, no, they knew what this was and they acknowledged that in the film. And that was very important to me.
So frustrating too, because like Skeezy Dave Grohl was like, oh, I don't want her anyway, blah, 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 blah. Like he couldn't tell that Marky Mark was just like squeezing the hell out of the back of her neck, making her say the things that she said. Like, what the fuck? She's in a lose-lose situation. And then it was just, I totally agree with you. Like Reese didn't have the tools to understand what was happening, especially with like, probably like the lens of emotions she was feeling, seeing that scene. But like, it's just so obvious that Margot was like coming to her for help about it a little bit, and Reese just like shuts her out completely, and it just sucks because it's not Margot's fault. Like it's not the cheating story that Reese is painting it to be, and it just was disappointing.
Breaks my heart, but also Nicole goes back for her. You know what I mean? Like Nicole does go back outside to get her, but Margot just has already driven away at that point. So it is like, to me, this really beautiful scene where like Nicole is understandably very hurt and upset because she thinks that her best friend has fucked her boyfriend, which is not exactly the case, obviously, because it was not consensual. But she's got hurt feelings about it. And Margot is trying to be like, I didn't want to. And of course, Reese Witherspoon is a baby and she's having her own emotional, tumultuous roller coaster of a journey with Marky Mark. And so she just like, it takes her moment. And that moment, unfortunately, isn't enough time for Margot to drive away and then fucking Marky Mark to like ram her car off the road so that he can confront her.
So scary.
I hate him. He's a monster.
He's literally a monster. And then he just starts like stalking the hell out of Nicole everywhere she goes. He shows up at the school and Gary's like, get your bitch ass out of here.
And he does his tattoo. That's what he does. He carves Nicole forever into, which first of all, hilarious. For the number forever. Incredible, iconic, love it. Carves it into his chest, breaks the pen to rub the ink all over it. Just terrible tattoo, first of all, and we never see it again. It's just for him. Nicole never has to confront it, and thank God. But it is just a very ugly tattoo. Can you imagine, even if somebody that you loved and did want to spend the rest of your life with showed up with like a hastily done Nicole Forever tattoo on their chest? Like, no, thank you.
Especially since my name is not Nicole, I'd be like, who's this?
Who's this?
She's Nicole.
But even if said Sydney Forever and they showed up, it's like, if you're gonna get a tattoo of my name, at least get it professionally done. Like, pay money. You know what I mean? Get a nice design.
Also,
get a nice design.
There's a part that I wanted to mention. Like the first time that they break up, they show Marky Mark like in his bed being all sad, and he's got all these pictures on his wall. And I thought it was so fucking heavy-handed when they're like, here's like 20 different like funhouse photo strips of me and Nicole. And right next to that, you know what's right next to it? Oh, it's my mugshot.
Hung it up on the wall. Just a little decor. For you.
Just be like, did you know that Marky Mark is a bad boy? Now you know for sure. And the movie is telling you. Like this, it was so heavy-handed. I was like, come on, guys. But then things just go fucking off the chain. Like, in the bad.
If you thought the Margot part was bad,
off the chain is a great thing, but this is bad. He attacks her in a bathroom at the mall and sexually assaults her. So that was super cool and horrifying. And like,
don't forget the part with Gary.
Right.
Does that happen before? I thought it happened right after I thought it happened right after she rejects him in that moment. But
it's Gary and then the car and then the mall.
Ah, okay. Well, Gary.
Gone too soon from this world, Gary.
R.I.P. Gary.
Man. He should have gone to the mall. He should have gone to the mall.
Gary was like an actual, like Margot was clearly going through something, but like Gary was being like a really good friend for Nicole.
Margot didn't have the bandwidth in this moment to be the friend that Nicole needed, and that's understandable and okay. Gary did have the bandwidth, and he stepped up at every opportunity. You know what I mean?
Yeah, put his life on the line.
Good guy, Gary.
Literally. But oh my God. And then did anybody write down Marky Mark's quote that he says to Gary like right before he fucking murks his shit? Because it was really, really fucked up.
I don't think so, but let me check.
Ugh. It was so
no,
good.
The last one I wrote down was, Steve, you're really not an F slur. And I was like,
oh no, okay. I remember what it was. I don't remember the exact quote, but he was like, where like growing up, I went from home to home because you know what I did? I punched down walls. I'd punch a wall and I just punch through the wall and the wall would come down. And then they had to move me to another room. And then I punched through that wall. And then I punched through this other wall. And he was like, then they got tired of building walls. So they let me free. And I was just like, oh my God, this man is a psychopath.
An actual psychopath.
Actually a psychopath. And it's just so sad because Gary tries to run.
You're forgetting the best part, which is then he's like, some walls are made of flesh and blood. And it's like, what? And he basically is like, Gary, you're the wall between me and Nicole. Like, I'm going to get ya. And then
punch right through your chest. I was expecting him to do that thing from the second Indiana Jones movie where they just shove their hand into the dude's chest and rip his heart out, That's the kind of energy I was getting, but no, instead
the energy was there though.
Slammed his body over and crunched. That was the crunchiest net breaking that I've heard. It was very crunchy, very visceral, very sad.
It breaks my fucking heart because I love Gary. I stand Gary. And the fact that Gary's immediate instinct was run away and not fight back. I was like, icon, legend, king, genius. Like, you don't fight Marky Mark, you just run.
And he's already been beaten by Marky Mark, so he knows.
And then Marky Mark caught up with him, and it was like that incredibly again, feels very Twilight to be like sprinting after someone in the forest and just neck snap. Just a lot. You know what I mean? Poor Gary. And then they say later on, when Margot comes over to the house, she's like, Gary's dead. He was found beaten to death in the woods, which is like, obviously we saw what happened up to Gary's death. So does that mean that Marky Mark continued to wail on him after snapping his neck?
Probably.
Like, that's even more grim and disgusting. You know what I mean? Ugh. And then Gil Grissom comes out of work, finds his red Corvette or convertible, whatever kind of car, I don't know cars. This gorgeous red convertible Mustang. You're right. Convertible. They say that in the movie. This beautiful red Mustang convertible beaten to shit. And then there's a note on it that says, now I've popped both your cherries, which
death to him. Death to him.
Oh, I mean, okay. Like, horrible, but like what a fucking bitch slap statement. Like
Yes,
it
a
was
burn,
good. Like
a burn.
like
Virginity
it was
is a
good
social
burn, but it's
contract,
really
but
fucked up.
incredible burn.
It was very
Incredible
wrong, but
burn.
incredible. Like I couldn't imagine something worse to say. Like,
Yes.
oh Jesus.
But then I love Gil Grissom just being like, Eddie, give me the keys to your car. You have to get a ride with Harvey. And Eddie's just like, and he's like, no. And he gives him the keys. And Gil Grissom is like, here I go. But then that's where the mall scene comes in, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And it is terrible where Marky Mark just like follows Reese into the bathroom when she's like away from Laura and Toby, and he corners her and he's just like, we have something that everybody wants but nobody else has. And then he says something like, it belongs to you and me, and he doesn't clarify what that is, but he has also at that point assaulted her by groping her and being like, this is what we have between us, so it's like it belongs to you and me, like her vagina, leave her alone.
Yeah, I was like,
that's
like
only hers.
Sexual chemistry, like that's how you can tell this is his first relationship, because like the lust part, you know, is part of it, but if you can't build the whole relationship on that, Marky Mark, come on. He's like, everybody wants a piece of this. I'm just like, okay, like you just cheapened it. I thought you were gonna say our beautiful connection, but then you do the worst, absolute worst possible thing. And the fact that he like covers her mouth, all of that, very fucked
terrible
up.
Hated it.
Like, I was just also really mad at the course that Steve chose to take, because I get it. He was really frustrated because the cops weren't doing jack shit. Like, I wish that someone had noticed that Gary was missing so we could be like, something strange is afoot, you know? Like, this man has been stalking her. We know that. But he just decides to take matters into his own hands, finds their house, the house of the Goonies, and fucking destroys everything. That was such a stupid, boneheaded move. Like, why would he provoke them like that? It just, and now you've committed a crime. I'm sorry.
I don't know. If I saw a shrine of my 16-year-old daughter, like a creepy shrine, like saw the daddy's girl thing engraved with David's girl.
It's a David's girl.
It's a David's girl. There was like a weird, like
the Chucky
doll, the weird religious, like shrine with her
he
face.
photoshopped himself into the family.
Yes. And also like
where
her underwear.
He gets Laura and he gets Nicole.
Yeah.
And Toby too, I guess. He's like, yeah, I'll have Toby as my son.
I probably would have been like, you know what? We're going to fuck this house up. Like, absolutely not.
I don't know. I get it. I totally get it from an emotional standpoint, but I also feel like destroy the shrine, destroy Marky Mark's room. We don't need to go around the rest of the house breaking pool cues and stuff. You know what I mean?
And
like
drum set.
We only really need to have one enemy at a time, I feel like, especially when you already know
criminals.
Yeah, especially though when you already know that this is someone who has like hit your daughter. You know what I mean? Like I get it, but I also feel like if we have any concept of the violence he's willing to commit, and we do, because he kicked the shit out of Gary and he hit Nicole, whether on purpose or not, when he was just trying to shove her out of the way, and then he beat the shit out of your car and left a note that said, now I've popped both your cherries. Like, I don't know. I just feel like one enemy at a time. One enemy at a time. Because that's totally the only reason that at the end of the movie, Logan and all of the other guys are like, yeah, we'll go with you to beat up this guy. Like, tooth for tooth, eye for eye. It's like, this is now a much larger problem than it would have been previously.
Yeah. Okay, but wouldn't the car be like enough to get the cops involved as well?
You'd think. And then also on the phone later, he's like, they assaulted my daughter in the bathroom, and the cops are just like, we don't care about assault, I guess. Like,
right?
That's what really pisses me off too, because people, whenever you talk about like police abolition or reform even or whatever, people are like, if there are no cops, what are you going to do if you get sexually assaulted? And it's like, first of all, the cops already often do not do anything when you get sexually assaulted. Yeah. Whatever. Anyway.
Yeah.
That's another conversation.
We'll do a whole nother episode just about that.
But yeah, I mean, there is such a continuing theme in horror movies that police are useless, and you can parse how much of that is reality and how much of that is plot device on your own time. But in this particular movie, they do absolutely fucking nothing the whole god-ass time.
Yeah. No. And then, So now they're back at the house, right? The family's all together. Margot shows up, lets them know that
Gary.
not David, Gary is dead. Excuse me. And so you're like, oh God, things are hitting like boss level. This is the
People
boss
are being
level.
murdered now.
People are being
yeah.
murdered now. So we've changed the game a little bit, and then like they don't have any time to fucking prepare because they're already there. They're already outside. They already cut the phone lines. Like they already disconnected the system, which is
They
stupid.
already have the code to the house because Nicole was never like, maybe we should change the code after my psycho ex-boyfriend and I broke up.
Yeah.
Ugh, she is a
Like,
teenager.
She was going through a lot.
Yeah,
She's
got a lot on her plate, but also like I feel like maybe we make that a priority. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I agree. But I will say that this fucking ending scene was just fucking awesome. It was so good. It was very okay. The Purge got their idea for The Purge, the first one, from this movie. Just saying. That's another
Everything
thing.
came from this movie.
Everything came from this movie. The entire Twilight Saga, The Purge, everything.
That's the entirety of cinema.
That's
yeah,
that's
I've
cinema.
never seen
That's
another
cinema.
movie.
No, I am certainly not 40. How many episodes have we had? 40 others. But yeah, I mean, like, just so epic. The line that I just absolutely love that sets the scene is like right when Marky Mark is using the code. So Steve gets the door, locks it the last second, and looks through the little peephole, and Marky Mark's there looking sexy as all hell, but spooky as all hell. And he's like, "It all could have been different, Mr. Walker. Mr. Walker," like that. "You should have let nature take its course. In the end, it will anyway. So let me in the fucking house," like that, like a demon. And then it just goes crazy.
Apparently, Marky Mark improvised the screaming, "Let me in the fucking house." And that was not in the script. And the director did not want it to be in the movie because he was like, "That's corny." And then the producers were like, "Actually, we like it." And they had to add it back in. And then it's like the most iconic line from the movie.
It is so iconic. There are three iconic parts. Wild horses, on the roller coaster, him thumping his chest, and this moment.
There's one other that we didn't mention that I was almost like, should I warn them about this scene? And then I was like, no. And I would say also the Gary murder scene is iconic, but I had completely forgotten about it. So maybe it's not as iconic as I thought. But the part that stayed with me was the roller coaster scene and then the doggy door scene.
I fast forwarded through that. I can't handle like animal, like unnecessary animal violence. So I was like, nope.
It was so fucked up. That's how they fucking let you know that they're about to murder everyone. Poor Toby's like, what's the dog's name?
Kaiser.
Pep. Kaiser, you look weird. Gored out, head stump. And then the fucking psycho blonde guy sticks his head through the door like,
his name is like Nobby or something, which is
it Dobby?
Nobby. They have insane names. One of them is named Hacker. Like, it doesn't make any sense.
Good for them.
Hacker, Nobby, Logan, and David.
It's not a ragtag group of miscreants if they don't have fun little names, okay? And David, they tried to give him a fun little name, and he was so scary that they were like, "No, you do whatever you want, David. Okay."
No nicknames for David.
But like this whole series of scenes is so badass because like everyone in the house like gets their little shine to do something dope. Like straight up, is it Nicole who like probably murders that man who was right behind Toby?
With the umbrella.
Yeah, she shoves him with the umbrella and he falls like how many feet all the way down on his
definitely
his back,
2 stories.
dead. Yeah,
I know Scream came out this same year, 1996, but that they both have umbrella attacks in them. I just think one is a clear reference to the other, and I don't know which is which.
There's no way to know. There's no way to know.
What is a clear reference? I have to say, just based on how many things are a clear reference to this movie Fear, I gotta think, you know, maybe something leaked from production since they filmed it in 1994, probably before Scream was filmed, but also Scream is the blueprint, so who knows?
Yes.
This is the low-key blueprint for everything else. It's just
this is the
like
unknown secret national treasure blueprint. Like, you have to decode some shit to find out that this is the blueprint.
Yeah. For a second, I thought you were saying that this was the blueprint for National Treasure, and I was like, not at all, not even at all. But okay. But I mean, so many good
Nicolas
like
Cage wants what Gil Grissom has.
Yeah.
Maybe.
it's true. There's so many bad bitch moments though. Like, is it Laura who like drills the fuck out of that dude's hand?
Yes.
Hot, awesome, dope, amazing, incredible.
Laura's great.
She's a beautiful woman who has some flaws, okay?
She's very
We should
complex.
have let them kill Gil Grissom. I think probably because they do get Gil Grissom. Okay, so it's like they do kind of chase them away from the house to some degree. They push that one guy off the gutter or whatever, and he falls 2 stories. Nobby gets his hand drilled with a power drill. Lots of bad shit is happening. And then finally, Larry sees like the flickering light SOS. The security guard comes out to help. And he does for approximately 1 second. And then there's just like too many of them.
Well, I think it's because Steve like kind of made it seem like, I don't know, they were too confident immediately. Once they had the guns on David and what's it? Dave Grohl.
Logan, probably. Yeah.
Logan, that's his name. I keep forgetting his name. They were like, oh, we got this in the bag, motherfuckers. Like, ha, ha, ha. It's just like, there are like 20 little fuckers here. Steve's like, oh, they all left. Like, no. They're still around. And now they have guns. And Larry's down for the count, second 1. And then Steve is fucked over second 2. So it's just like, you can't 2 like older men against 15 youthful, insane people. Like, there's no
5, but yeah, they're not holding back. You know what I mean? But they bring Gil Grissom back with like a gun under his chin, and then they're like, Laura, you have to decide if you're gonna let us in with Gil Grissom or we're gonna come in without him. And like, I get it. That's her husband. She does not want to watch him die, but also your son is inside, Laura. You've got 2 teenage girls inside. Like, sorry to Gil Grissom. He's ready to make the sacrifice. Like, what if we let him? What if we let him?
But here's the thing, maybe her prenup is like, if I get murdered, you get nothing. So she's like, I can't let him be murdered.
Great. What a fantastic clause. An important clause to put in any prenup. I don't know. Obviously, it all worked out in the end. And so maybe she made a choice. But I just think you got to protect your kids first. And Gil Grissom was on team sacrifice Gil Grissom. And I just think, I don't know. Maybe it wouldn't have changed anything other than Gil Grissom would be dead. Maybe Gil Grissom was the turning point that helped them. I mean, he was to some degree, you know what I mean? But really what was important was little Toby climbing out the window, getting in the car. Who knew car phones would be such an important plot point, but they truly are at like 2 or 3 different points in this movie.
But yeah, okay, I can't even remember now. Like, how do they win? I'm like, how does it happen? I just remember Marky Mark getting fully yeeted out of a window. Oh, and I also remember him running upstairs because Logan's up there and immediately goes to try to like be an absolute pain to Nicole. And David goes up and he was like, shot in the head, point blank range.
Well, that's because Logan was trying to like sexually assault Nicole. And
I know.
David was like, absolutely not. And then he's like, I'm gonna kill your daddy in front of you. And he turns his back and she just like goes with a peace pipe.
Fully stabs him.
Oh, with the peace pipe that he bought her at the carnival or won her at the carnival. Wow.
Yeah. But it was a combination of Toby running that guy over. Toby fully runs over one of the bad guys, and then he goes and he gets the keys to the handcuffs from Larry's dead body. Don't know how he knew about that or where Larry was or whatever, but he somehow knew. He goes and gets the keys, and then truly. And then Laura and Gil Grissom were free to start fighting back. And Gil Grissom like gets his hands undone, and then Reese Witherspoon stabs him, and a scuffle ensues. And then Gil Grissom like, he doesn't really pick him up over his head, but I like to imagine him holding Marky Mark over his head, wrestler style, before he throws him out the window. But regardless, he throws him out the fucking window, and he gets caught like on the rocks down below by the ocean, and just
Okay,
an ending that he deserved.
Yes.
Something that I really would have liked for the ending though is when he splats that like his shirt. Sorry, it's so dark. When he splats, like his shirt rips open and you can see Nicole forever. Like that. I think that was a huge mistake that they didn't have that. That would have been
the tattoo never came back around.
Yeah. And so you see him with his chest. And like, what was his end game here? You're gonna kill your family and then kidnap her and then like go like live happily ever after?
I guess Stockholm syndrome was his end game. You know what I mean?
You're like, remember all the fun we had? Forget about that time I killed your kid brother and your best friend and your dad and your stepmom, you know?
And your other best friend. Like,
And your other
everybody's
best
dead now.
And Larry.
And
Right.
Larry!
And your
Kaiser!
dog.
And Kaiser.
Yeah.
What a film.
You can't
What
come
a
back
film.
from that. But I guess
No.
Marky Mark was just like, well, I'm not giving you a choice. So
Yeah.
I will
I
say
know.
though, while the ending it was like, yay, he's dead, I did feel like a little like, wait, that's it? Because
yeah.
it was just,
I
you know what I mean?
know.
Like, I would have liked maybe just like 5 more minutes of something. Because then the credits rolled and I was like, I was just terrorized. I need some aftercare immediately after
They
this.
did have a group hug, but it just was not
wasn't
a long enough group
satisfying.
hug. But I did like that Nicole and Margot hugged. You know what I mean? That was
Yeah.
important to me. And then I liked that when the credits rolled, Kaiser was in the credits and he was played by a dog named Banner.
Yes.
Banner.
The ending absolutely slaps, but you're right. It's so abrupt after that.
Yeah, it's just like there's so many traumatizing repercussions for this film, and we, you know, there would be a whole nother film just about how Reese Witherspoon copes with this. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's the thing. Like, I don't know what they should have ended with.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't know if they cut to some other day. I just think that would be probably too much.
Yeah.
To be like, and she went to therapy. You know what I mean? Like,
the end.
What would that scene be that would make sense and also work with the pacing and also be a worthwhile scene to include without adding too much time? You know, I don't know what it would have been. So I have no suggestions, but
the whole family plus Margot is on vacation together having fun. That's it.
They're all gotta be together.
Yeah. It's just them in group therapy, like in another group hug. But okay, let's get to our segments because I feel like there's a lot to be said here.
Yes.
How could it be gayer? We could have escaped this entire thing by Alyssa Milano and Reese Witherspoon being lovers themselves. We could have just had that for the movie.
Who says that's not to come?
Oh, I would love that. What, the roller coaster part 2 with 2 women? My God. If you think it couldn't get any better, it just did. You know what I mean? But also it was great that, you know, even though it's not clear at all in the film, Gary's gay. That's great. Cool. Awesome. Representation. Another time where a beautiful gay man is murdered in the film. How cool. Love that. Great. Thanks, 1996. But he is a star and he had great hair. So like we will remember him always and treasure him in our hearts. But I don't know, any other opportunities for it to be gay? The Goon Squad could have just all been gay for each other and like just
maybe they were, you know, I don't know for sure they weren't.
I like that.
While Marky Mark does explicitly say that Gil Grissom is not gay, I don't think that's really Marky Mark's place to decide. I think Gil Grissom could have been Gil Grissom and Laura could have been a double bisexual couple. Who knows?
I feel that energy. Yeah.
Right? It does kind of fit. The vibes are spot on.
Energy, and also he himself is bi, so it's like a double down. It's
good. Love that
big
for them.
Bi energy over there. But yeah, I feel like Reese could have been, you know, she was so young. She's still figuring it out. She's still gonna figure it out. And Alyssa Milano will help her along the way.
Alyssa Milano, I think, is there already. You know,
Alyssa Milano's already there.
Milano is there.
Look at her. She's there. The vibes are immaculate. Talk about bi energy. Whew. But yeah, I mean, I feel like that covers it.
Okay, but where would our baby boy Matty Lily be in this?
Anywhere he wants, honestly. Like he is the perfect age to be in this movie because it's the same year that Scream came out. He could do.
He would have been an iconic and less terrifying Logan, I think. You know what I mean? Terrifying in a different way.
Yeah.
But
More age appropriate and
yes,
sexy.
more age appropriate. Would have made more sense for Alyssa Milano to see Maddie Lily across the way and immediately zero in instead of this like 46-year-old biker looking dude.
Yeah.
Still a bad boy, still like rough and tumble, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not clean cut next to Marky Mark. He could still be a little rough. We could get like Hackers Maddie Lily, you know what I mean?
Yeah, a little longer
And
hair.
or he could have played the character Hacker in this movie.
He could have grown like a goatee, which like definitely screams like I'm a 90s bad boy.
Yes.
So like,
but I think Logan would have been the perfect role for him.
Nothing says bad boy like a soul patch, you know?
A little cum catcher.
I hate that. I hated it so much. Oh no.
Take it back.
But also, yeah,
it
would have brought him
back.
There. Anyway, Maddie Lily, you could step all over this movie and do whatever you want to it. You would fit right in, baby. Please. But okay, dumb bitch. I mean, it's Marky Mark. A little bit the dad for trashing the house for me. Yeah. But at the end of the day, like, he's doing his best and with his rage issues, you know, his understandable rage issues. But
I think it's the dad and Marky Mark for being in this like constant battle of wanting to be able to control Nicole.
Yeah. It's like ownership of Nicole. I'm like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
And also Laura gets a honorable mention for calling her a slut.
Yes. Okay, fine. For that moment, yes.
And also for like
100%.
After like it's pretty clear that he hit Nicole. Laura's like, come to a pool party at my house. It's fine. Like, no, Laura, come on.
Yes,
played by the swoopy hair.
But I did take her point that was like, she could sneak out and see him. At least if she's here, we can be like supervising. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I understand that to a degree, but you're right. At some point there is good parenting and there's overly permissive parenting. And when you let Marky Mark throw you into the pool, for me, that's where the line gets crossed.
Yeah.
But I think, you know, it's easy to say that it's Marky Mark because he sucks so hard. And so of course he's a dumb bitch. But I also think Gil Grissom is the one who makes like the dumb mistakes. You know what I mean? Like he really steps in it by when he finds the condom wrapper and immediately is like, you can't see him anymore. And it's like, she already wasn't seeing him anymore. Read the room. Like,
come on,
take stock of the situation. Yeah. And trashing the house, dumb bitch. But I am perfectly willing and ready to support Sydney's suggestion, which is they co-share the honor of being the dumb bitch for this movie for their weird patriarchal power struggle.
Yeah, no, it's a tie. It's a dead tie. The smart, beautiful angel bitch award goes to Gary.
And also Toby, the smartest person
Toby.
in this movie.
Yeah. Sweet baby King. Toby.
Like
Genius.
they would all be dead if Toby didn't run that man over and unlock them.
And call 911, which didn't really save them at all, but also, you know, an important step in the process.
Yeah. He's 7 years old. He's already committed vehicular manslaughter. Like he is a king.
Christ. Poor Toby.
Poor Toby. He's seen too much in his short life. But yeah, okay. I feel like this brings us to our knives out of 5s, and I'm really excited to see what you guys rate this. And what did people think? What did the world think about Fear 1996?
It's actually the most fascinating one I've seen so far in terms of rating. It's so interesting because it got a 6.2 out of 10 on IMDb, which sure, whatever. But Rotten Tomatoes, it's what's really fucking interesting to me because it got 43% from critics, which is rotten, and it got 78% from audiences, which is really fucking fresh. Like that is a huge discrepancy.
Oh, that's
that is
big.
An insane discrepancy. 43%, like almost 40% to almost 80%. That is insane.
I can totally see that though, because for me, like this movie is like maybe critically, it's like, oh, it's dumb. Oh, it's a little trite. Oh, it's Marky Mark saying Mr. Walker, like that kind of shit. Like it's a lot. But from me, Monica Height perspective, I was like literally screaming at the top of my lungs, yelling at this movie the entire time. It was
Have they considered
fun. It was a
how
blast.
fun this movie is and how important a lesson it is for teenage girls?
Yes. It's a great.
They didn't consider. None of those critics have ever been a teenage girl. I bet that's probably not true. I'm sure some of them were women, but you know, maybe they forgot.
I don't know. I live texted y'all this movie the entire time I was watching it, and I was just like, "Ah!"
That's exactly the energy. Yeah. I was screaming. Poor Adam was trying to read his book. He was probably like, what the fuck is going on?
This movie is insane. This movie's insane. This movie's insane.
Fire. Okay, like I'm gonna give it like a 4 point. I can't give it too high because you know, obviously
sure.
It's like a 4.666666666 repeating. And I loved it. I had a great time. I'll watch it again. I'll watch it again today. No, I have to watch another movie for the pod today. So I won't watch it again today, but I'll watch it again. It was great.
I also like this movie, so I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5.
Nice.
Like this movie, like actually, even though it's like, I like thrillers. I love thrillers.
Yeah.
This one seemed like it could be like somebody's really real life. Like, and that freaked me out. So 4 out of 5 dives for me.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean, I remembered liking this movie. I remembered thinking that the roller coaster scene was iconic. And I heavily recommended it when we were looking for a movie to do this week. And then I did start to have some fears. Like, what if they don't like it? Like, what if this is insane? Like, should I warn them about the doggy door scene? Or is that fun to experience on your own? Because it is so insane. And then I started to get worried. And then you guys were loving it. And I was like, oh my God, thank God.
Yeah,
and once I watched it again, I truly was like, this movie slaps. This movie slaps. Like, is it an iconic piece of art the way that I felt Midsummer was? No, but it's a really fun movie. I think it's one of those like things, like I'll say it for the 50 millionth time. I think it's great for teenage girls to watch, to like start to identify. Because again, like Sydney said, this feels really fucking real. Like this shit, I know people are going to be like, people don't really go on murder sprees like this. Like, yes, they do. Yes, they do. Yes,
but
they do.
Actually, they do.
They do. Yeah. Like there are so many toxic, violent men out there that like this stuff does happen sometimes. And that sucks and is unfortunate, but I think this is like a great film to be like, this is how a grown man weasels his way into a teenage girl's life. Like this is how this happens. And also it's just really fun. It's just really fun. So I'm going to give it like a 4.75, I think.
Hell yeah. We're on the same page. I'm so glad. It's so great when we all love a movie.
That brings us to our movie for next week, which hopefully you guys like, but maybe you're not gonna. But I like it, and that's all that matters. Next week we are doing okay, this was supposed to be in honor of Shark Week, which traditionally is in August, and then Discovery Channel went and fucking changed it to July this year, whatever. But we are doing a 2-week long feature, and so I will say both movies right now, but next week we are doing 47 meters down, and then the week after we are doing 47 meters down on Cage, and I am fucking thrilled.
Welcome to Shark 2 Weeks. That's the official name. Shark 2 Weeks.
I really had to push to sell both Monica and Sydney on this concept, and then I was like, Shark Week doesn't start on a Tuesday. You know what I mean? Like technically the real Shark Week is going to eat into both of those podcast weeks. So we have to do a double feature. They finally got on board. I'm thrilled. These two movies, Shark 2 Weeks, these two movies have absolutely nothing to do with each other other than they both have 47 meters down in the title and they're insane, but I love them. I love them so much.
I've never seen either of these movies, but I absolutely love like sci-fi shark movies. Those are maybe one of my favorite genres of movies ever. So I'm thrilled.
Yeah, as a lover of mega shark versus giant octopus, I
Oh,
can
that's
only
such a
imagine
good
it being
one.
amazing. And I have seen 47 meters down uncaged. So I've watched that one first because they have nothing to do with each other except sharks, you know. And
Nothing
that's
to
what
do with
really
each other
connects
except
us
sharks.
all, right? Sharks in the end. And so, you know, it can't be bad. I mean, it could be, but it can't be that bad. It's gonna be fun no matter what. I'm stoked.
I'll say the first one is more of a real movie than the second one. So that's
Oh.
something to look forward to.
Wow, and I like the second one quite a bit, so this will be wonderful.
Hopefully.
It will happen. Shark 2 weeks. Get ready for it. Hashtag Shark 2 weeks. So if you like what you heard, why not rate us 5 stars on Apple Podcasts? You should do it. You'll feel good about yourself after. I promise. Also, why not follow us on social media at spooky_Tuesday on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. The TikToks are popping off these days, y'all. Don't sleep on it. And also follow us at Spooky Tuesday Pod on Facebook and Tumblr. Shout out to the Tumblr girlies.
Hey.
Bye, Spooky.
Bye.
Spooky Tuesday was created by Monica Height, Sydney Thompson, and Chelsea Duff, and edited by Sydney Thompson. Our gorgeously spooky tunes are all thanks to Tamra Simons, who you can follow on Instagram at Captain Tamra, and our podcast art is by Mary Murphy, who you can find on Instagram at the_moon_OMG.
It all could have been different, Mr. Walker. You should have allowed nature to take its course. In the end, it will anyway. So let me the fucking out!